I said it before and I'll say it again.
That scene, that last scene.
What does it mean?
I'm the dude, you know?
Get the fuck out of here. No, I cannot.
That final scene
Starts now.
Hello, Happy New Year. Even though I don't know if it's still accepted to say Happy New Year.
No, it's too tedious now.
I don't know. I somebody said that to me in work the other day, and I said, "Well, I haven't seen you since the New Year, so I think it's. Oh, I wouldn't put it in an email right now, but since I've just seen you guys, I'm happy to say Happy
It's
New Year.
not rude not to say it.
You can
Agreed.
You can say have a good week. It's something a bit more short term,
Something more generic.
Happy New Week.
Happy New yeah. Also, in Greece we do say Happy New Month.
Really?
Yeah.
What, every month?
Not every. Yeah.
No wonder Chaos was cancelled. My God, why do you do that?
It sounds more cringe in English, but like in Greek, it sounds like have a nice day. I don't know, like it sounds more normal, but it's weird. Yeah, I don't know the lore behind
It's
that.
not for me, no. Sorry.
It's like for a long time, I think I was saying squid to people in Greece rather than good morning, which is calamera.
It's very close.
And you were
Calamari.
Calamari. So close.
Classic.
I don't know why I hadn't connected
Classic
the two.
bread broad.
Oh my God, that is the most Brit
Calamari.
Broad. That's the most Brit Broad thing you could ever do. Jesus, I'm imagining you saying that with like a cigarette hanging out of your mouth, you know, lounge on like a pool on a pool noodle.
How are you guys doing? I mean, I know we just started, but
Yeah, good.
We basically did the best bit of the podcast, but off mic.
Yeah, we do that. We do that quite a lot, don't we? That's why we need to just have we just need to, as soon as we arrive, just go record.
I don't think anyone wants to hear about The Rock.
No, we had it. Yeah, we had.
I was learning
stuff
stuff about The Rock.
Yeah,
I don't feel like I'm at a loss for not really knowing any of his works.
Yeah, I think you tuned out after minute 5.
Do you know what? There's not weirdly. I feel like sometimes Simon and we're good at giving you recommendations. I don't really think there's a Rock movie that I'd be like, you should go watch that. He's in the Get Shorty sequel. It's called like Be Cool or something like that. I could be mixing this up. I'm almost certain though he's in the Get Shorty sequel.
Quite like Get Shorty.
And he's playing like it's funny because if I am remembering this correctly, John Travolta's playing the same character who has like money now because he's like a bodyguard. What is he? I can't remember what he is. He's like a bodyguard or something in the first one. And then in the second one, he's got money and blah, blah, blah. And The Rock is in it as like a guy who's a bodyguard who's trying to make his way as an actor. And he's actually kind of funny in it because it was at the same time as The Rock had just left the WWE and was trying to make his way as an actor in Hollywood.
Oh, wow.
So it is actually kind of funny. But it's not as good as Get Shorty, I will say.
What else did you watch, Ben?
Over Christmas?
I think you told me a couple of things.
Yeah,
but
I didn't do my usual, like, I normally go into Christmas with like a list of stuff that I want to watch, but I didn't do that this year. I genuinely sat down and read through the TV guide to see what was on for a couple of days.
Lovely.
But then I just didn't, over Christmas in particular, I didn't get that much time to watch anything just because there was like lots of seeing people and stuff. But I ended up watching, we binge watched all of Squid Game when it came out, the second season, which I enjoyed. I thought it was like, it took me a while to get into it. Like before they go into the games, it felt like quite slow.
I agree.
Because it's only like I don't know if you've watched them, but it's like a 7-episode season, and like 3 of the episodes are outside of the game, and then 4 of them are inside the game. And once you get into the game setting of it, it like is like 100 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. I will say though, the guy who's in it who a lot of the first 2 episodes revolve around, who's the guy who like recruits people for the game, might be like, I don't speak a word of Korean, so I'm reading all of the subtitles, but he might be one of the most enthralling people to watch ever. There's like a brilliant like Russian roulette scene in it. And he is fantastic. He's so good. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. I'm looking for, like I was saying to Sophie before your eyesight, that like, it's a bit of a weird one because they accidentally announced that the 3rd season is coming out in the summer.
How do they accidentally do it?
I think it just got like put on like a YouTube channel, like a Netflix YouTube channel or something like that by accident, like the promo with the date for it, which they weren't supposed to do, I don't think. And the guy who wrote it has subsequently come out and been like, oh, well, like, you know, it's essentially just season 2, part 2. So like it ends on quite like very cliffhangery of like, I'm glad it's coming out in the summer, because if I had to wait like a year or more, I would have been like, oh Christ. Like if it was one of those things where they ended it as they did and they hadn't filmed another season, you'd be pretty pissed. But luckily they've done it back to back, so it's ready to go. And then really randomly the other night we watched some early noughties nostalgia shite. We watched the Da Vinci Code.
Oh, you went there.
Oh my god.
Tom
did
Hanks?
Yeah,
Wait,
Tom Hanks.
How
yeah.
did that happen? Because I actually watched
So-
it fairly recently as well.
So Ellie and I were. It was like Saturday night, and we were just like, we just watch a movie or something like that. And I was like, okay, yeah. We wanted something easy, and I was like, I went through like Now TV, and I like put through a list of stuff, and I was like, this is like, I was like, Da Vinci Code is like an easy enough watch because it's kind of crap, and you'll just kind of get lost in how silly it is. But Ellie hadn't seen it, so it was like, oh, it's a good, like, you know, let's watch it. And my god, even on the like, I had it on DVD. Remember when I was younger, but like. God, it really doesn't stand up to scrutiny, that film. But what was even worse, I then went and watched Inferno, which is the
okay.
third one.
Yeah,
And that
you skipped
is-
Angels and Demons.
Well, because
yeah.
I've seen Angels and Demons, and I don't need to see a parachuting bishop again. And that's not a kind of cheese. That's genuinely Ewan McGregor.
loved you on it,
Ewan McGregor skydives out of an exploding helicopter, which doesn't sound like it should be from that film, but it's from that film. But the third one is like even more brutal. When I read the synopsis of it beforehand, it was like he has amnesia, and I was like, oh god, they're doing like an amnesia trope in it, and it was really silly. So it felt really budget. And the last, go on.
Quick question here: do you actually know if the books are like that, or are they supposed to be much better?
Well,
and then the movies Hollywoodified
I don't know. I think
them?
Dan Brown was, at least on the first one, Dan Brown was was like executive producer and stuff. So I'm assuming that he was fairly close to them. And also,
it's loved by so many people.
yeah,
as a
like the Da Vinci
book
Code
franchise.
as a book was sold really well, didn't it? Like people went absolutely crazy for it when it first came out.
Yeah.
Hence why they made the film so quickly.
Is it centered around an art museum in Paris?
The Louvre, yeah. A lot of the opening of the films, and lots of like really good French actors in it. Like Jean Reno's in it, and he's just, you know, eats up scenery wherever he's in it, and it's just like he's really good. And the girl from Amelie's in it. I can never remember the actress's name, and she's really good. Like everybody in it is really good, but you're kind of like, oh, this is, apart from Paul Bettany, he was just doing some mad stuff. He's playing this weird albino monk dude, and it's like. Ellie said to me afterwards, she's like, is he actually albino? I was like, no, they just put a load of makeup on him, dyed his hair blonde.
Is he doing
and
that
gave him
character he
blonde.
does in A Knight's Tale?
Oh, it's even, no, God, no, it's even worse than that. It's really weird. And then to really G myself up, because I knew next episode, clearly I did this because I knew next episode was going to be Nosferatu. I watched Van Helsing.
Ooh, nice one.
Fucking love that movie.
Yes.
It's so crap,
That's
but
so
Jesus,
good.
it's Simon did love
Okay.
it. It's like maybe what, like mid 2000s, mid noughties, like 2006 maybe. And it's Hugh Jackman playing Van Helsing. It's this Richard Roxburgh, I think is his name. He's a South African actor who's playing Dracula. And it's essentially Van Helsing, Kate Beckinsale's in it, going to Transylvania to defeat Dracula. And it's like, it's so camp.
Yeah.
It's so ludicrous, and it's just, it's brilliant. And it's like, it tries to be all like superhero-y and science fiction-y. So he has essentially a crossbow that's a machine gun and all this, and he has like a little monk sidekick who is like Q from James Bond and makes him all these like 18th century gadgets. It's amazing. And the opening scene is him fighting Mr. Hyde in what's the big cathedral in Paris?
Notre Dame.
Yeah, Notre Dame, fighting Mr. Hyde in Notre Dame, and Mr. Hyde is voiced by Robbie Coltrane. So an in for you already, Simon. But yeah, oh my God, it's so good.
It gives you all the necessary pop culture backdrop you need for Willem Dafoe's character.
Yeah, arguably, if I'm ranking my movies with Dracula in them, it probably is higher than Nosferatu. That's not me shitting on Nosferatu. That's just me saying how much I loved Van Helsing because it's so good.
It's so good.
It's so campy.
Yeah.
Did you get to do much in your road trip around the UK?
Yeah, what about
Not
you, Simon?
massive amount. I've been watching the Bonds in order.
Yes, I didn't. I have been enjoying you just sending me screenshots and
we
saying,
sent
guess the movie.
I sent Ben a really random screenshot of one of them, like one of the first four. And it was like not even an obvious scene, was it? It was like some scenery in the background, and Ben got it
Can we
immediately.
take a step back? What are you watching?
Just the James Bond films, but from the beginning.
Right.
The OGs.
Okay, you need to give some context.
Did
for
you
people
get
that haven't-
Goldfinger? Was it?
Okay.
No, Dr. No. Or no, sorry, not Dr. No. From Russia with Love.
That was it.
Yeah.
So it's like a random cutaway shot from Russia with Love.
Yeah.
And Ben got it immediately.
It's with the Bond. It's the Bond girl in Rosa's office. Yeah. Rosa and her magic shoes.
Yeah. Do you know what my main takeaway halfway from watching the first 5 James Bonds from the.
You watched all 5, the first 5?
Yeah, I'm up to You Only Live Twice.
Oh, so you watched Thunderball?
Yeah.
Nice. What did you think?
Well, that film in particular was so wooden.
Yeah.
It made me think how little we need to fear AI, because you think, AI is going to make everything really shit and like unpredictable. Like every scene in that film is like the most wooden.
Well, it's very
predictable
that
thing.
one's really like I know a lot of the Bond movies are like very tropey, but that one's so tropey because it's got jetpacks. It's got like underwater sea battles. It's got NATO.
Yeah.
Like it's
The
got all
jetpacks,
these things from the
you
time.
can see the string that's holding you up.
It's
in
so
it.
funny when he
It's-
takes off. What I love about that is the jetpack's just there, and then he has his little helmet. And he's got like a little Vespa helmet, and stuff. He just takes off in his jetpack. What did you get up to, Sophie? Obviously, you've given us a little bit of that. You just watched a lot of children's movies.
Yeah, just very quickly. Obviously, I've been taken over by Traitors season 3.
Yeah, fucking Linda.
Absolute queen.
She's so bad. She's so bad at it.
such a queen.
No, she's not. She's
She was
dreadful.
made for reality TV. This is what reality TV is for.
So Simon, in this game,
She's
right?
absolutely dreadful,
you
but
know,
it's just insane.
you know the traitor, Simon, right? You know the.
Only because I came to Sophie's party and we played it with
So exactly,
with
so-
food.
Simon, you need to watch season 3. We need to, dissect it together.
So in the
Okay.
TV show, right?
You watched
obviously-
this?
Yeah, we're watching it as well. So obviously you're chosen as a traitor on the first round table. Everybody closes their eyes and 3 people get touched in the shoulder. And this fucking woman, right, Winkleman does her selection and everybody's looking around and be like, oh my God, I wonder who it could be. Winkleman says, I have chosen my traitors. She fucking looks directly at her. She goes,
What Winkleman does.
no, the woman who's been picked as a traitor, as soon as she said, I have chosen my traitors, she looks at her. And it's like, I said to Ellie, I was like, she's fucked it. And then the one lad on the first night, he goes, yeah, Claudia said, I've chosen my traitors. And you looked at her. Everybody else didn't. He was like,
But she could be double bluffing though.
yeah,
surely.
I mean,
no, she's not because she is a traitor. We know
I know,
she
but
is.
she could have
no,
been.
but that I think this is where it's all leading up to. Like she's made so many insane mistakes to
Yeah.
the point where people are like, it can't be her.
Yeah.
It surely can't be her.
That was it. It's done like a full one. It's done a couple. She's done a couple of 180s where people have been like, "Yeah, Jesus, I was probably wrong about that," and then she does something else, and they're like, "Hang on, why did we all not think Linda was a traitor?"
Yeah. So
Yeah.
for the people listening, you probably have heard of the franchise by now because
Yeah,
there's
it's
US, there's Australia, there's Canada, there's New Zealand, there's all the things. But the UK one feels, I'm not saying the OG because it's not, but there's something
No,
wholesome
it's a
and
Dutch
unique.
TV show, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. But there's something wholesome and unique to it.
It's
just-
Winkleman all the way. You know, she just brings the energy.
For sure, but I think it's the only one that is actually changing the rules every season. Well, I feel like Australia and US so far have been pretty standard. And
Yeah, they needed
similarly-
to though. They needed to. They needed to
100%.
change something up.
100%.
A little bit.
So yeah, I've just been, watching that and then uncloaked as well.
I
the
don't
after.
watch Uncloaked. I don't watch Uncloaked.
I mean,
It's
it's a
the
bit
most.
shit, but I'm just.
It's the most unhinged.
Uncloaked.
Yeah. It's the most unhinged television program, and you see,
yeah.
if anybody hasn't watched it, I mean, it's great because you see all these people, like essentially people having their pants pulled down on television because they do their like VTs to camera, their talking heads, and they'll be like, I'm really good at I'm really good at reading people. And like because of my job, and it'll turn out the guy's like one of the
He
guys.
was a project manager. Yeah, it's just like random.
He's
Yeah.
like, I'm a janitor, but
Yeah.
I'm really good at reading people. And then they'll be talking, and they'll say 3 people, and it will be completely wrong.
Wonderful.
Or the first season they had and the Australians did this as well in their first season. Sometimes it's great. They'll get like clairvoyance in.
Yeah.
And in the first season of the English one, this girl was like, the spirits have told me, but I'm not going to tell you. And she just left. She just got up and left.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Like some people are just mental.
Love this show. So yeah, I've been watching that because that's what I can handle in January. However, I was invited by the BFI to watch the greatest film ever made, according to Sight and Sound to 2022. And I wanted to play that clip because I can't pronounce the name of the film because it's French.
Jeanne Dillman, 23, Quai du Commerce 1080 Bruxelles.
Right, well, I don't speak French, but I just wanted to make sure it's pronounced correctly because that's the name of the film. Jeanne Dillman, 23, I can't
And this is
pronounce
the best film ever made.
it. Well, well, I mean, it's obviously very debatable, but it was voted by...
Clearly haven't seen Van Helsing.
It made the number one spot at the Sight and Sound poll in 2022, and it was the very first film ever to have made the... Well, it was the very first film directed by a woman that ever made the poll. Because I don't know if you have the background on the poll, this happens every 10 years. It's not like a yearly thing, so it's like a huge deal. And
American Psycho is directed by a woman.
did it make the number one Sight and Sound poll? No, it didn't.
I mean, I'm still not really sure what this poll is or why this film
Sight and
is...
Sound? You haven't heard of the magazine?
Yeah, I have.
Oh, yeah, it's a huge film.
It's a very industry internal magazine.
I was going to say, is this a wanky magazine?
Yeah.
It's
pretty much.
not.
It's a jazz mag.
No, I don't. Okay. So this film, it's obviously it's very avant-garde experimental.
Yeah.
Like it's not gonna be for everyone, but it's very much like about domestic anxiety and like being a housewife in the 70s. And yeah, it really broke me. I mean, it's quite long, so you have to have the time to go and sit through it.
How long is it?
3 hours and 3.5 hours.
Ooh.
3.5 hours.
When was it made?
When? 1975. And it has very much like a Truman Show feel to it because you're essentially watching housewife doing everyday chores like boiling potatoes and making her son's bed in real time. Almost you're just sort of watching her. And the whole thing, and the reason it's so long, like it has a point to it. Like it almost used like that sort of film grammar to tell the story of like what happens when your routine gets broken by something or is interrupted by something and how you unravel on the back of that. Because at the time, that's all she had. Like she had to stick to a specific routine in order to keep her, I want to say, OCD in place or whatever she had in place. And because you spend so much time seeing her go through those mundane tasks, once things start unravel, you pick them, you realize
the differences.
You notice the difference because like she picks 2 potatoes as opposed to 3. Right, so like there is so much interesting detail, and obviously I don't want to say what happens in the end because it's quite plot twisty. Like there's a reason these things are happening, but yeah, it's like very unique. Like it's just something that I wouldn't normally see. But BFI is doing a season on Chantal Ackerman, who's the director of the film. So I just wanted to like give her a shout out and
I'm up for watching that.
Check out her work.
Never heard of it.
I've only seen it twice, so that was the second time I've seen it. The first time I saw it at home, so it was like it felt like an easier experience. I think in the cinema, like I watched it at 6 p.m. on a Tuesday. Like it wasn't.
If you
like,
watch it at home, you can dip in and out, I guess.
Yeah, as well.
Is it like mindful watching?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's like slow cinema. That's what it is. But I think you sort of like that stuff as well. But yeah, I want to check out more of her work really because she was a bit of a pioneer, like quite the feminist movement to tell that story. It's quite cool.
Cool. We may have spoken about this before. Did you see A Complete Unknown?
Yes.
Is it any good?
I liked it. Yeah, I think we talked about it.
I can't remember if we talked. Yeah, we did talk about it, didn't we? Because it's out soon. Is it next week?
I think it's out this week. Yeah, it's much better than I expected.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's coming from me who's really over Timothy.
Go next weekend then.
I think
I'm going to a Real Pain this weekend, so I'm looking forward to seeing that.
I'm really looking forward to seeing
looks
that.
good.
That looks really good and also sad.
Yeah. I showed Ellie the trailer for it the other night to be like, let's go and see this.
Yeah.
And then as the trailer was playing in the background, I was like, I forgot how this movie's going to be funny, but it's going to be really sad at the same time.
Yeah.
But it should be good though. It's
I think he's getting the Oscar. He doesn't have any competition.
Kieran Culkin?
Yeah.
Really?
I just don't, I'm not hearing any buzz around anyone else for supporting.
We'll do a Oscar episode, but I'm trying to think. I don't know anybody else really.
He's getting a lot of buzz.
Interesting.
Even like he's playing himself again, but I still love him.
Yeah, he plays himself in a lot of things.
I have to put it out there because it's himself. Well, it's fine. Yeah, fine.
Yeah, listen, he's carved a niche for himself. It's pretty good.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, it's not Eisenberg's directorial debut, is it?
I wouldn't think it is. I think he's directed stuff in the past.
Okay.
But yeah, also plays himself. But also
He can't keep playing Zuckerberg, or the magician.
Oh my god, he needs to come back for Zuckerberg number 2. But
I thought you were going to say he needs to come back for Now You See Me number 3, which I think he is.
What?
I feel like there's another Now You See Me on the cards.
That is crazy. He doesn't need to.
No, he doesn't.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Like even, the first one is the best. Should we move to a film that I'm massively unprepared to talk about after watching it?
Yep.
Yeah, let's do it.
What's this?
It's a movie.
No!
Oh, I liked it.
No!
Can I say something?
No!
I don't get it.
What don't you get about it?
After I watched the film, I realized how little I know about
The genre
goth,
of estate agent
vampires.
vampire films.
All of it. Because I naturally, like, I went online and I started, like, seeing reviews and seeing interpretations of the ending and all the things. And I'm like, all of these references you guys are talking about, I have...
Is it all references to the original?
Not just the original, but like, like this book about Dracula and this thing about Gothic literature and this thing
Right.
about, the feminist movement in the 1920s. Like, there's just so many things where I'm like, on the back of my head, I know there's a huge audience for that, like vampires, goth, all the things. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's one of those films because there's so much lore behind it. I feel like I have a much simpler interpretation to it and to its ending.
Yeah, and I think that's okay. Like my first question was going to be like, what did you think?
Okay, let's take a step back. I mean, obviously, spoilers from now onwards. So
Yes.
I can give you my very simple interpretation.
Yeah.
Of it. I thought it was a film about an estate agent that has to travel to Transylvania to close the sale on a new home for quite a naughty vampire that lives in Transylvania.
That's a lovely summary.
However, the estate agent's wife is plagued by terrible dreams, and it's clear that the vampire's already entered her psyche.
Lovely.
And during the signing of the documents, after this terrible trip to Transylvania, the estate agent goes to bed, and during the night, the vampire has a nibble on him. And the estate agent quickly realizes he's got to get back home to the city to protect his wife.
Can I just interject for
Yes.
a second, because I think you skipped the opening scene.
Yeah, I found it quite boring, but I'm going to come back to that.
Okay, yeah.
And then
Interesting.
the vampire, in order to beat the estate agent back to the city, FedEx overnights himself in a box on a ship.
Yeah, he does.
Back to the city.
Lovely.
At which point a big plague breaks out. Mm-hmm. And this is the bit of the film I thought gets very exciting. Goes a bit Indiana Jones with lots of rats.
Yeah.
Raiders of the Lost Ark type thing. And then the wife of the estate agent has to fix the situation of the plague and this terrible vampire by choosing to let him have sex with her and eat her. At which point it's a happy ending.
That's a very good explanation.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're missing the part where they made a pact.
Did
Didn't
they?
they? Yeah, of course.
That's
like,
the whole opening sequence, yeah.
Yeah.
She makes a pact with
right.
him when she's younger.
the first scene.
What, in real?
is
So that's not a dream. That's real life.
Well, no, that's a dream, but it's almost like a flashback dream
Yeah.
of hers.
Right.
They used to be together. He was her first love. I think that's love.
He's ancient though.
Well,
So
but is the whole thing not that
He
they
found
weren't
her when she
really
was
together?
young.
Is that she was quite a lonely child with a difficult
Yes.
childhood, and
Yes.
essentially
he entered
this
her.
spirit came to her.
Almost like an imaginary friend. Or something.
Very much like an imaginary friend, just a grotesque one with a
Yeah.
mustache.
Yeah,
a grotesque
that's
one
a-
with a mustache.
That's a very good way of putting it.
I will say it's probably
But
too
it's
long.
psychosexual as well, like, because
Yeah.
it's not just
Yeah.
friends.
Severe psychosexual dysfunction
Yeah.
for that girl. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say though, I agree with you. I think you could have cut 20 minutes out of it. I think it's
sure.
a bit long.
For
So
sure.
I really struggled to connect with it. I was really going with it in
agree.
the cinema, but then halfway through, when the vampire makes his, what's he called?
Nosferatu.
Oh, he's actually called Nosferatu.
Orlok.
Yeah.
Orlok.
Count
yeah.
Orlok, yeah.
Orlok, yeah. So Orlok makes it to the city, and then suddenly you got this like swashbuckling gang.
Yeah,
of
the pace
guys,
picks up.
and they're hunting him and trying to get to him before he causes more trouble. That's quite exciting.
I kind of agree with you. Like, I struggled to connect with it for sure. I will admit, like, I came out of it going, yeah, it was scary, couple of jump scares, but like in the catalogue of Robert Eggers' movies, I wouldn't say it's my favorite. Like, it's good, and I like your post, Sophie, about your Substack article about Bill Skarsgård, the guy who played the vampire. I will say what's incredible about him is that you would, if I didn't know he was cast as the vampire, I wouldn't have been able to tell you it was him, because the prosthetics are so good and the voice is so good. The one thing I will say, as monster depictions go, especially when you start to see him more, it's not like a thing of nightmares. If you know what I mean? Like, it's not like the most terrifying monster I've ever seen in my entire life. It looks fantastic, and Skarsgård, like the physicality of how he moves and like the voice and stuff is great. But I wouldn't necessarily say it's like, oh my, like a monster that's going to like haunt my dreams, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I wonder if that was intentional, because my
Maybe.
understanding was that he wanted to show him as grotesque as possible, as opposed to scary, more like disgusting
sense.
looking almost. And which
Oh,
is
it
what,
is disgusting, especially at the end when he has like all shriveled up, withery legs.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
And doesn't he say at some point earlier in the film that I'm just appetite or something along those lines? Like
I can't remember.
or I'm only appetite. I think he said something like that's all that's left in him. He's just that. So I think he was going for grotesque as opposed to scary.
I guess the whole movie's going for grotesque, right? Like it is.
Yeah.
It's very like, you know. Yeah, it's kind of like it's a strange horror, because it is a horror movie, right? But it's a strange one in that way, because it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not like. Do you know what's interesting? I was watching it, kind of thinking like how you think about like auteur, and this is where I'm going to get a little bit fucking intellectual. So excuse me.
Let's go.
You think of like auteur cinema, of like people who have like a really like defined style. And again, like in the way that I say, if I wouldn't have known it was Skarsgård if you hadn't told me, I think you would know it's a Robert Eggers film. And I think that's something that that's really cool about him, is that like he has a very like everything's very grey, and like all of his movies is quite like the palettes are really like toned. They're either in black and white like The Lighthouse, or they're in a lot of black and white and like kind of like deep blues and stuff. And so you can tell it's his, and a lot of his movies, like grotesque is a great word, because a lot of his movies are kind of like that. Like even The Northman, there's a little like really gross kind of shit in that, you know. And there's not that many people like that in cinema these days. Like, you know, Tim Burton maybe, because a lot of his stuff, like you know, the look and feel. I always argue that like Kevin Smith kind of is as well, because like a lot of his movies are very similar.
Yeah.
He's cool because he doesn't fall into that mold of like, oh well, like I'm a director for hire and I'll make these different movies. Like he has a small portfolio of movies that he's made, but every single one of them is very him.
Yeah, and he definitely didn't want to go for, you know, glittery vampire vibes.
It's not like the Keanu, because I kept thinking of the Gary Oldman Keanu where Keanu Reeves is essentially playing Nicholas Holt's character and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, because I remember thinking, you know, are we going to get to that bit where like Gary Oldman arrives to the city and all of a sudden he's young and has like he's gone from being this old grotesque Dracula to being young and has a mustache. But no, the monster is like disgusting throughout.
Yeah, and as you were speaking through it, like just to jump to the ending, and I think that's the most interesting quote that I found from Eggers, is that the ending, which essentially looks like a painting, right, was inspired by this famous like motif, Death-and-the-Maiden,
right?
Which
where he's lying, where he's
lying on top of her. And I found like something quite interesting here in terms of where it's coming from. So according to Eggers, Death-and-the-Maiden motive is quite powerful and enduring theme in art, literature, music, and film. The motive originated in the late Middle Ages and the Renaissance, often as a reflection on mortality during times of plague or social upheaval. It ties into the tradition of memento mori, which means remember that you must die. And visual depictions often showed a beautiful young woman being confronted by a skeletal or grim reaper figure, symbolizing the juxtaposition of vitality and decay. As you were speaking, I was thinking he was going for grotesque because he was trying to show death. Like, I think almost like walking death.
I mean, there's a lot of scenes, there's a lot of imagery in the film that looks like it's straight out of a painting.
Yes, for sure.
Like pre-Renaissance, when everything was grey and dark and
Beautiful
disgusting.
film.
Very Dickensian.
Yeah.
And
I think like it's interesting, like, and I'm not saying this is a criticism, and I wonder if maybe if some of it's intentional, but some of the performances in it are quite wooden.
Oh my God, yeah. I think Aaron Taylor-Johnson and, I'm sorry, what's the name of
his wife?
Yeah.
Emma Corrin.
I don't know, maybe they were fine.
I wonder if that was intentional though.
No, yeah,
It's quite camp in a way, I thought.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Bit panto.
Maybe they were fine. Okay, so this is a criticism that I have for most Eggers's films because I do think they look stunning and are very heavy in occult, all the things, lore that I'm just not equipped to analyze properly. But I'm having a hard time connecting to his characters or even understanding a lot of his characters. I think The Witch was a good exception. I thought that, Thomasine was like a really good, very well written character in a way that I actually was able to almost connect with her in a very weird way. I didn't feel that with Ellen. I didn't feel that
Yeah,
with...
I agree with that.
I didn't feel... I don't know, and maybe I'm overthinking this and thinking that, there needs to be a backstory to the main character for it to make sense. But maybe this is how I've been conditioned to think or to feel in order to be able to understand a character better. But I was like...
I didn't think there's much depth either.
No, I agree.
There's
And
not much
maybe-
rhyme or reason to it.
Yeah.
The way I interpreted the film, or probably the story as a whole, was that it's when things like plagues happen, especially hundreds of years ago, the way humankind made sense of it was this kind of witch hunt type mentality.
For sure.
Where they're like, it's the vampire and the woman has to give herself up to stop the plague. And it's just a way of making sense of something that nobody can really have an answer
Yeah.
to. And that was one of the stories that was invented, perhaps. I don't know.
I do wonder though, because wasn't Anya Taylor-Joy was initially lined up to play Ellen? I think I'm right in
Really?
saying that. And I do
Interesting.
wonder with him, and as you say with The Witch, like Anya Taylor-Joy is great in that. I wonder, like Yorgos Lanthimos and Emma Stone, do him and Anya Taylor-Joy have that kind of quite a good kind of actress-director relationship?
Yeah.
And you do find that, because I would say that some of Yorgos Lanthimos' movies, Emma Stone's great, but other characters in it suffer because of that relationship, maybe.
I can see
and
that. Yeah.
maybe it's the same thing for Eggers,
I can see that because a lot of his writing is in the performance of the actor as opposed to the actual script. So maybe something else could have come out of it. And I'm not criticizing Lily. I think she did the best she could given what she had and her experience, I guess. But it's interesting because when we skip to the ending, like her progression of like going worse and worse and worse with her premonitions, and then towards the end, again, my interpretation is that she willingly gives herself up to the vampire.
She consciously decides
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah, so my interpretation was that she almost sacrifices herself for the people.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you go on Reddit and you read the reviews and you're like, oh no, it's a rape fantasy, or oh no, like she's as
It
fucked
was
up.
a little bit, I guess.
She's as fucked up as him, and like she
But yeah,
wanted
but
this.
that's it, like,
she brought this to herself.
The
like,
way the film built up, when she finally sacrifices herself or gives over to him, like I was kind of indifferent to it.
Yeah,
I wasn't
agree.
sad that she was going to get hurt.
I think
I wasn't
I
happy.
needed-
I didn't have any like hook.
I
With her
guess it's
character.
supposed to be that she's giving herself up to save her husband, right? Isn't
yeah,
that the
and
whole
everyone
thing?
around her. Yeah,
Well, and
who's-
everyone
yeah.
around her, but I think throughout the whole film, she doesn't care about everyone around her. She cares about Nicholas Holt's character. Like realistically, though, right?
yeah,
Like she has
true.
these
Yeah,
weird
true, that's
relationships
true.
with other people.
That's true.
But she only cares about him. And the way I saw it was, the way I see it is she's saving herself she's sacrificing herself to save him. But I would agree with you, Simon, in that there's too many scenes of her like freaking out and being all weird, rather than scenes which should give us a little bit more background as to maybe, like, we just get a lot of scenes of him being like, but I do love you and you are
Yeah.
my wife. She's like, okay, but like we need a bit more.
Yeah.
Like, because we bear in mind obviously the movie starts with her, the flashback, but then it jumps to present day and they're married.
Yeah.
Right, so it's kind of like hard to be on board then, because you're like, okay, but like why? Because you two really don't seem
Yeah, I mean,
well matched at
I
all.
don't think they had great chemistry.
No, I agree.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
think for me, obviously, that was designed to be in the way the film
But
was
maybe
made.
they're not supposed to, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be one of the major plot line, but I much preferred the story of the estate agent's boss, who turns
Yeah.
out to be in on the whole thing.
That was
Oh my
brilliant.
God,
That was so good.
And he's quite a nasty, gnarly, grim character that I quite enjoyed.
But isn't there, because he has a great ending, because doesn't he say something like, so he like hits him through the heart before he then gives him like one wallop with the hammer to finally kill him. Doesn't he has a spiel about like, it should have been me.
But do you know, remember?
He's chosen her, but it's almost like he's chosen her, but it should have been me. I devoted myself to you.
Yeah, he's
You know,
mega
I
jelly.
should have been your chosen successor almost.
He's mega jelly, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
But there's a section where he's in prison. They've captured him.
He's in the hospital.
Or it's a kind of like a hospital prison, isn't it? And then there's quite a gross section where he's on the floor, like writhing around in the hospital prison bit.
and he bites the head off the pigeon.
Yeah, that's pretty gross.
That was grotesque.
That's awful.
Yeah,
That was awful. And the
but he
sound
was
of it.
really good. Yeah.
Yeah, he was really good.
And
I
there's
mean,
I do like that scene in particular as well, because that's after when we get our little Willem Dafoe being like throwing gasoline around the room, just having a great time, just like burning the place down.
that was peak of, yeah, I mean,
Is William Dafoe's character basically like some occult expert?
it's Van Helsing.
Yeah,
but
it's essentially Van
And
Helsing,
he's
but not
like,
Van Helsing.
he's supposed to be the academic that can know
yeah,
what to do.
even though the one thing, which is what makes you want to question the whole film, he does make it very clear towards the end that he knew that Ellen was going to give it up to Orlok. Like, he's like, you were destined to do this. Like, you didn't have a choice. And which is why Ellen, I think, says to him, oh, you knew I was going to do this. Again, I'm paraphrasing massively. But it's almost like there wasn't any other alternative in the first place. And he sort of, what Dafoe wanted to do, he just needed to get her to give up, like, actual explicit consent.
Yeah, they made a big thing about that. That was covered about 3 times, wasn't it? That she had to want it. She couldn't just be forced
Nosferatu
into
said
it.
that as well. Like, you need to say yes.
He said,
because it's part of the
I
Pact.
can't take you. Yeah, you have to give yourself up
Because
willingly.
this is how pacts and oaths work. Like, you have, I mean, it's a weird way of giving consent to just be some sort of rape. I mean, it's just
Pencil the
like
Reddit forums.
Yeah,
it's just-
I mean,
it's like-
essentially, the end scene when they do kill your man, the estate agent. The only reason Willem Dafoe is taking them there is because he essentially seems to know that that's what's going to happen, because he has
Exactly.
that last
Yes.
scene with Ellen.
Yes.
Where he just speaks to her.
Yeah.
And he knows that's going to happen and he's waiting for it. They're essentially just going to be the contingency plan of like, right, in case this doesn't work and he tries to escape off back to his coffin, we're going to burn the coffin just in case. Like, this is the contingency plan, but this is going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. And he believes in it because, well, he's seen how much Ellen has deteriorated, but also he probably knows that, and again, maybe I'm wrong, but my understanding was that Orlok almost wanted to die like that. Like, he didn't.
I think that as well.
Like, that was his ideal way of going. You know how you have an ideal way of going?
So wait, so
what better way of going?
the final, what's your view on this? So the final scene is that they're going at it.
Yes.
Has he just forgotten the time and the sun rises and he's like, shit, and then he evaporates? Or is that what he wanted? Is he consciously...
A combination, because, you know, with pleasure, what's the saying? Like, pleasure comes with pain, or pain comes with pleasure. All the things that all.
Don't know. Gonna let you take that one away there, Sophie.
Yeah. No, all the things, but obviously he's there to have a good time.
So has he just
But
forgotten
at the
the clock?
same-
He's forgotten the time, and then sunrise happens, and he gets caught out, and he gets...
But you see, once he realizes that the sun is up, well, the dawn is up, he doesn't, you know, he's not in a rush.
Well, but
like,
I don't think. But
Yeah,
he can't.
exactly.
But he can't, though. That's the thing, right? I think he's resigned to his death.
yeah, but even
He just thinks it's worth it.
facial expression is a liberal phrase to use, but he's not even fighting it.
No,
He's
he's not bothered, is he?
He surrendered to the idea that this is his ending.
Yeah.
Which I also found weird. Like, there was no tension. It was like everything was very, like, everyone was pretty happy with it. She seemed happy to die underneath him. He seemed happy to die, like...
I think for her,
they're both really attracted to each other.
And also for her,
Do you
it's
think?
kind of it's almost like a weird, it's a weird metaphor of being like, oh well, at least, you know, she's at peace now.
And also, yeah,
But lacking in blood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But dead. Yeah.
yeah, that's an odd word. But I'm guessing she went on her own terms, I guess. Which I think I didn't have time to watch the original, not the 74 version, but the original. But apparently,
The silent film.
Yeah, the silent film. Yeah, the 22 version. But apparently, this one seems to be giving Ellen more agency. I think there's more focus on the consent bit and how she chooses to go that way. But I can't argue that there is like sexual like undercurrent through and through. Like, there's even that scene where they
throughout the whole film.
Yeah. No, Simon, I don't know how you don't agree, Simon.
No,
Or-
I didn't notice any sexual like
But
chemistry.
there is.
really.
Oh, no,
not
not
I know they were
chemistry.
going for that angle, but it didn't really come across.
But there's this whole scene with Thomas and Ellen where she's having one of her, premonitions, seizures, all the things. And she's basically saying, you're not nearly as good as him. Like,
that's a weird scene.
You could never please, you could never please me as well as he did. There's definitely some, like, I do think that she's really attracted to him. But, obviously not in a normal way.
Yeah.
And obviously she's not normal herself. And I think that at some point, I don't know who says that to her, like, you're not of humankind. There is sort of suggestion that she's not fully human.
There's a suggestion throughout the film that she's closer to an animal. They talk a lot about like her primal instincts and all this kind of stuff, that she's closer to beast than man and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if this is also like a metaphor to a woman having sexual desire at the time. Maybe that's a good metaphor as well. And how her being possessed is her like having sex dreams.
Yeah.
Because wasn't it called hysteria back then?
Yeah.
This woman's hysterical.
Wandering womb syndrome.
Yeah. I agree with you, Ben. I don't think it was my favorite Eggers film. It's beautiful. I don't know if I'm gonna revisit it, if I'm honest.
I don't think so. The only thing I want to revisit about it now that I think about it, there's the bit at the end where he puts the flowers on them.
Oh, the little
and it's the same flowers that she complains that they're dead.
Yes.
The only reason I'd want to watch it is rewatch and see what she says in that, because there's probably some significance to that, but I cannot remember why.
There's a lot of symbolism around. I don't know what lilacs represent.
Because she screams at him that, like, why did you bring me these flowers? They're already dead.
Yes.
And then they're the same flowers that get laid over the bodies at the end.
That's a really good observation.
But I will say, I guess I came at my final thought was, I came out of it going, yeah, it was scary. But, like, it didn't make me feel anything else, right? Like, and maybe it wasn't trying to. Maybe it's just trying to scare me. But, I don't know. I just felt I didn't feel anything much other than it gave me a couple of jump scares,
Yeah,
I agree.
Which I think is a shame, because I think maybe I had higher expectations for it, because I'm not somebody who likes horror movies, but I was very much like, I'm interested to see Eggers' take on this, and I came out of it just being like, yeah, it was scary. Okay.
He's I think because I read so many reviews and so many reactions of people just absolutely loving it, like people crying in the people had like very strong reaction to it. But I do think it's the type of audience that is going crazy for that sort of time and era and all things lore, which again, vampires are huge out there. Like speaking of lore, like they're massively popular still. So I do think it speaks to that. And again, probably not the right crowd. But yeah, then you had other people that share our perspective. That's like, yeah, it was good, but it was a bit flat. Yeah. As well. But you can't like argue with obviously the talent and detail and beauty of the film. Like it was technically very well done. Yeah. I almost feel about it the same way I felt about Avatar. I'm like, you know what? If you took all the dialogue away and you made it a silent movie, I'd be blown away by this for 2.5 hours because it looks so great. But then I have to listen to the performances and what they're saying, and then I kind of lose it a little bit. It'd be really interesting to watch that if they just did it like the original Nosferatu, in that it is an entirely silent film and you just watch it for style rather than the substance of it. Yeah. And I don't know why I'm blanking, but I think I saw somewhere that Eggers is tapped to do another remake of another film. Okay. I'm blanking. I literally read it this morning, but whatever. We can revisit it in the next episode. We're going to have to revisit the next episode. Any parting thoughts, Simon, about the film? I just found it generally quite bland, I'd say. Yeah. Nothing really hooked me. It's a shame because I was so excited about it. But yeah, I don't know what... Yeah, I wanted either more humour. That could have worked. I also humor or like just more tension and stakes. Yeah, there was no stakes. I think that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah. And for a vampire movie, you need stakes. It's a good one. Come on, guys. Yeah. Jesus. Yeah. Open goal right there. Sorry, continue, Simon. But what can I say about it? Yeah, it could have been more camp, more funny. I think the genius vampire films make you feel sorry for the vampire somehow. Yeah, there was nothing. I needed a sad backstory to the vampire. Whereas he's just a monster. To make me understand his mad
behavior. But
Yeah.
Did it have to be sad though? Or
I don't know. It
you
could have been
just-
anything. but
Yeah.
I just didn't feel anything.
I think
for
I would
him.
like to see. I think I would like to think of him as even more evil, if I'm honest. Because
It was like, to me, he was just obsessed. This is probably a very basic view of what was going on, but to me, he was just very obsessed with getting to the woman before the husband. That was, for me, it was like a chase film.
I don't think he cared about the husband. I think the husband was just
Well,
like
he wants to get
the
back before the
blackmail.
husband could protect her, kind of thing.
Oh, right,
Because
yeah.
that's how I got myself into it. I was like, they've put a clock on it now.
Yeah.
It's like a race. He's gonna get on the boat and race the husband back to the wife. And then for me, I was like, I can get on board with this. It's
Right.
like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
And that's what helped me get through the second half. But apart from that, I wasn't that bothered.
No, I feel you. I feel you.
Agreed.
Okay. Well, we solved the ending again. I hope. Definitely no. We're gonna get Reddit. Well, I hope. Please don't come at us. We're not the experts here. But we're gonna come back in 2 weeks. I think we don't have any holidays coming up, or
No.
we're back January. We're doing this hopefully with a regular movie tale, and we're gonna have to discuss which ending we're doing next. Should be a good one.
And we're getting into award season, so
We're
I'm
getting
sure
into
there'll be
award
some
seasons. A lot of
BAFTA and Oscar
reactions.
chat.
There are a couple of really good films I want you to check out. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, we're
As
gonna
long
talk
as there's
about.
some good output from this, I don't mind.
There will be.
We're gonna talk about them. Okay. Cool. We'll see you in 2 weeks, guys.
See ya.
Goodbye. Bye.
Did you like it? Did you like that?
Did I like it? I loved it.
I had no idea you could milk a cat.
I have nipples, Greg. Could you milk me?
Good morning.
Morning. Good morning.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.